All right, we're fixing MacBook as per usual. This one has some obvious liquid damage, and I have this now, so I can point to it. Ooh, right in this area. I'm really gonna incorporate this a little bit more. So this one's just kind of no power, not working. Those are the keen eye among you might notice this here. We also see some signs of rust right here. I thought the pointer finger was funny. We're going to take the board apart and look at it further. I reckon we're just going to have kind of a mess around our USB-C controllers, and there's some like audio amplification stuff back here. This over here is, I think, just stuff for storage, that sort of stuff. What do we got over here? 5-volt USB. In any case, I think this one's going to kind of just be replacing a lot of clearly bad things. So we'll get the board out, have a look, and we will make the MacBook behave. This is a good example of electrolysis. This is why you don't run power through your device when it's liquid damage. I think, well, this has been sitting here with the battery unplugged for a few days now, but I think this was like the day before it was brought in, it was liquid damage, or maybe a couple days. Regardless, like liquid damage in this area, this would have developed a board issue. It wouldn't be as bad. Yeah, quite a mess here. Let's go under the microscope and get a better look. But as we suspected, there was going to be some bad liquid damage in this area. We'll bring out the pointer finger again. Pointer finger for scale, all right? Pretty small, but quite a bit of a mess. I can see stuff like this current sense resistor looks burned, and we're probably gonna have some open lines on these resistors. I think this is a Thunderbolt ROM right here. I'm probably going to... let's look at the side on these chips. I don't know if I want to replace every single CD32 here, just on the onset. Let's kind of look on the side here on these chips. Like that does have some corrosion on the corner. I think this one is generally one CD32 is going to fail, and then everything else won't work. So I would reckon this guy is probably our main culprit. So I think my plan on this will be just to ultrasonic the board before I start doing rework on it, so I can get a better look at all this crap right here, and then we'll remove this. I'll get one off of a donor from the same location because these are directional on these boards, and I need this exact CD32 from another 820-02098 motherboard because Apple won't sell the chip. Or there's guys on AliExpress or whatever who sell them, but God knows how often those work or not. So I generally just pull them off donors. But yeah, we'll get one off another board, reball it, get it on here. And then I think from that point we'll then use our brains to figure out what else might be not working. I think there is just some stuff that's obviously screwed up here though. Like some of these resistors, these just look totally fucked. But yeah, I mean, this is, liquid damage, and in a day or two you're running power through it. This is what happens. Don't do that. But if you do, take it to me. We'll make it work again. Despite what Apple says, you don't need a whole new laptop. So, well, I'll probably just heat up the ultrasonic at this point, then we'll start replacing shit. So we'll be back. Alrighty. This is now the next day. Got a little bit busy at the end of the day yesterday. We just ultrasonic the board. As we can see, it looks not nearly as bad, but still bad. So we have some pretty clear problems. This kind of, the corrosion obscures. So we already had a look at it with the initial corrosion, kind of saw our problem areas. I think this is kind of very well our primary area. This might not even need a new CD32. So what I'm planning on doing here is kind of replacing a few things here, and then a few of these kind of burnt looking resistors. Okay, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, maybe the ROM. We'll see. And then probably, here and here. Kind of swap those out. This doesn't look too terrible after it's been cleaned. Probably this guy too. But just kind of some obviously naughty looking boys. We'll spank them and throw them in the garbage and get some new parts on there that seem well behaved. Okay, so we're gonna get into the rework. I'll just start another clip here, and we have a donor already kind of, ready to pull parts. I think this one was in like a backpack and some water spilled on it. I look like Barney. I got purple and green on right now. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Purple's cool. Both of these ports on here. Sad. And another port. Sad. We're just gonna swap these out. It has cooled down at this point. Already plugged it in and kind of cleaned up the space. We're getting 20 volts now. So this does seem like it is powering on. We're going to reassemble it back into the chassis and just test further, but I think we'll be all right here. Basically, trace repair under the CD3217, replacing a handful of resistors, and one of the CD32s that was just in kind of the primary corrosion area. The initial chip on there might have been fine, but I don't want to put it on and then it doesn't work and I have to take this all off again. So we just replaced the chip. So we'll get this back together and we'll see if this is working now. Lives, as we can see here, there's some pictures of people and names on here, so we have a red cloth covering it to protect the identities of those who have water damaged their MacBooks. In summary, here, we basically had a mess right here. Water spilled on it a few days before it was brought in. Kept running power through it. Electrolysis, yada yada, lots of corrosion. Handful of messed up things. Primary kind of tricky thing was that these resistors here were just totally burned off on the device. So we ran a wire from here to here. We ran a wire from here to here. And then we ran wires on both of these over to here to connect to a 3v3 UPC LDO, which is some signal when low line for... Yeah, I don't know. Probably just to, make the CD32 work. Some signal line. It's coming out. Doesn't really matter too much. It's important. We need it there. And then there was a few other kind of miscellaneous components in this area that just looked sad. Like there's like this capacitor. I believe we had another capacitor over here that didn't look too happy, and a current sense resistor over here that was burned and destroyed. Can all be seen in the rework section. I almost never get these with liquid damage on this side of the board, actually, so I was kind of happy because I have donors for these that just have this whole, side of the board just totally untouched in this area. So I was finally able to use some parts from over here, which is great because I always get these, and like every donor I have has everything right here missing because they normally get corrosion right here on the opposite side for whatever reason. This one wasn't too terrible, a little bit, tricky jumper wires, but, we're go-to with the sauce, so it was no problem for us. Hopefully this was entertaining or informative to someone somewhere. And we'll see you in the next video, buddies.